Hey there, fellow Jamaicans and friends of Jamaica. Today, we're taking on a topic that's as serious as it is important. Here's a question for you. What do a recent attack on a U.S. presidential candidate and Jamaica's violent past have in common? By now, you've probably heard about the assassination attempt on Donald Trump at a political rally in the United States. It's shocking news, right? But for us Jamaicans, it brings back some painful memories. It's a stark reminder of a time in our history that we would rather not repeat. Let's take a trip down memory lane, back to the late 1970s and early 1980s. For those of you who weren't around then or maybe were too young to remember, Jamaica was a different place. We're talking about a time of intense political violence. The two major parties, the Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, and the People's National Party, PNP, were locked in a bitter struggle that went way beyond words and debates. How bad was it? Well, between the late 1970s and early 1980s, more than 900 Jamaicans lost their lives to violence. That's not just a statistic. That's 900 families torn apart, 900 futures cut short. It's a number that should make us all stop and think. Let's give you some examples of how crazy things got. In 1980, Roy McGann, a PNP politician and member of parliament, was shot while campaigning. He died the next day. Can you imagine that happening now? A politician being killed just for running for office. But it wasn't just one side. That same year, Seaga, who was the opposition leader at the time, escaped an ambush on his motorcade. And it wasn't just the big names who were targets. Regular party supporters were attacked after rallies. Cars were shot at. People were slashed with machetes. It was like something out of a horror movie. Now you might be thinking, but that was over 40 years ago. Surely things got better? Well, yes and no. In 2007, not that long ago, we saw another flare-up of violence. A policeman, a chauffeur for an opposition candidate, and two others were killed in the lead-up to the general election. So, what's changed? How did we go from that level of violence to where we are today? It wasn't easy, and it didn't happen overnight. Our security forces and electoral officials have worked tirelessly to ensure safety and fair elections. We, as a people, have learned the hard way that violence solves nothing. But here's the thing, and this is why that attack on Trump is so important for us to talk about. We can't get complacent. We've made progress, yes, but violence is still a big problem in our beautiful island, although not political violence these days. Did you know that for the past several years, more than 1,000 people have been murdered in Jamaica every year? Our homicide rate is one of the highest in the Western Hemisphere. That's why we need to stay vigilant. We need to remember where we came from, not to dwell on the past, but to make sure we never go back there. Every time we hear about political violence, whether it's here or abroad, it should serve as a wake-up call. So what's the lesson here? What's the connection between that attack on Trump and our own history? It's simple. Peace is fragile. Democracy is fragile. We've worked hard to lower the political temperature in our country to create a place where people can disagree without resorting to violence. We can't take that for granted. As Jamaicans, we have a responsibility to keep moving forward, to keep building a society where differences are settled with words, not weapons, where elections are won with votes, not violence, where every Jamaican, regardless of their political beliefs, can feel safe and heard. Remember, we've come too far to turn back now. In the words of that powerful song by William McDowell, we can't go back to the way it used to be. We've tasted peace, we've seen progress, and we know that's the path we need to stay on. So let's make a promise to ourselves and to each other. Let's promise to be the generation that puts an end to violence in Jamaica once and for all. Let's be the ones who ensure that our children and grandchildren never have to experience the kind of violence our parents and grandparents did. Because Jamaica, we're better than that, we're stronger than that. And together we can build a future that's bright, peaceful, and full of hope. Let's never go back to where we came from. Instead, let's keep moving forward, one step at a time, towards the Jamaica we all dream of. If you agree with these thoughts, consider joining our community by subscribing to our channel, Impacting Jamaica.